All right, so you just bought your brand new WRX, right? You're leaving the dealership, you feel cool, you pull it on the main road, you push the pedal to the floor, you dump the clutch, and you send your brand new symmetrical all-wheel drive system into a seizure. Now this is what most Subaru WRX owners are going to do. Is it the right thing to do? And should you do it? Now we've all heard the old saying, if you're going to drive the car hard, you should break it in hard. Or you should break the car in how you're going to drive it. But does that way of thinking still stand with today's cars and today's technology? Well, when it comes to me and my personal vehicle, I can tell you exactly what I'm going to do. And that's exactly what Subaru recommends me do for my break-in procedure. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that is in case you want to do the same for yourself. All right. So as you guys have already probably figured out, put two and two together, today we are going to be going over the Subaru WRX break-in, period. How to do that, what you're supposed to do, how long it's supposed to last, and if I really think it's worth it or not, because that's the big question, right? Like, if it's worth it, you definitely want to do it. If it's just a bunch of, you know, recommended, like this is what we think you should do, but you don't have to type situation, should you really be even wasting your time with it? And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't going to, but for me personally, this is probably the last car I'm going to buy for a while, quite a long time. That's why I was very meticulous with what car I purchased, because I knew that I wouldn't have the opportunity to change my mind, sell the car, and get a new one, right? So getting right into it, the break-in period on a WRX, and I think pretty much all Subarus, or at least Subarus with the FA24, is 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles of, you know, you want to stay out of boost as much as possible. You don't really want to go over 4,000, 4,500 RPM, and you don't want to floor the car. You don't want to get pedal happy and you know, go full send, give it all the beans. And 1,000 miles is quite a while, right? Most of the time you see manufacturers recommend 500 miles, you know, go easy on the car, 750 miles. I think there's only a handful of other cars that, you know, say 1,000 or over. Excuse me. And I think from what I understand, you know, on the forums and different articles and stuff, the reason Subaru recommends 1,000 miles for the WRX and at least the FA24 is for the transmission. Not, well, I guess not even the transmission, more like the all-wheel drive system and your clutch, which makes sense because if you buy a brand new clutch, like a high performance clutch or just a performance clutch, you know, the break-in on those is 1,000 miles. Usually 9 times out of 10 it's going to be 1,000 miles. You know, don't dog the car, don't get on it hard, be careful with how you let out the clutch, you know, how you go in first gear, that sort of stuff. Most engine break-ins are only 500 miles. You know, it doesn't really take that long for a, you know, for a piston ring to seat, or for your like crankshaft and stuff to break off all the extra like little material and stuff that you're gonna break off and lose while your car and your engine are breaking in. So 1,000 miles. You don't want to go over 4,000 RPM. You don't really want to hang around in boost very often. You know, you want to try and stay out of boost as much as you possibly can. And then on the interstate, right? If you commute more than, you know, 25 minutes on the interstate, you want to be really careful and pay attention to your speed, what gear you're in, your RPM. You don't want to stay at, you know, 1,500, 2,000 RPM on the interstate for 30 minutes plus. You want to, excuse me, you want to, you know, say you're cruising at 6th for 10, 15 minutes, go to 5th, slow down a little bit. If it's a lot longer of a drive, go to 4th, cruise at 4th, as long as you're not going over that 4,000 or 4,500 RPM. You want to vary your RPM. You want to vary your engine speed as much as possible. You don't want to use cruise control. That's a no-no. You want to get your engine and your all-wheel drive and your transmission and all that mechanical stuff, your diff, your rear end, you want to get all of that used to working and operating at different loads, different speeds, you know, the different engine loads and stuff like that. Now, you do everything right, you make it the 1,000 miles, keep your foot out of it. You stay under 4,000 RPM. You don't race any Hot Boy Civics. What do you do now? Well, Subaru is going to tell you to go on, go with your regularly scheduled, maintenance, your oil changes and stuff. But what I would recommend, and what most people on the internet are going to recommend, and what most technicians at Subaru might recommend, is to get your oil changed as soon as possible after that first 1,000 miles. 1,000 to 1,500, you want to get your first oil change, because what happens when a new engine breaks in, you get these little micro pieces of metal, of aluminum, and all these different alloys that work their way into your oil, and your oil just keeps recirculating through the engine. And although they're very tiny micro pieces, and you might not even have that bad of debris, right? But it's still something that's getting circulated through your oil pump and through all of your moving mechanical parts, and that's not good. You don't really want that, at least from a performance standpoint. Not even performance, at least from a reliability standpoint, right? You don't want that in there for very long. You want to get it out as soon as possible. So even though Subaru doesn't really recommend it, it's probably what you should do 100%. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Around 1,000 to 1,500 miles, as soon as I can get it in. I would say 1,500 would be the cap. It's that you're busy for a week, you have a crazy work schedule, or your local Subaru dealership is backed up, or you don't want to change it yourself or something. 1,500 is the longest I would go without getting that first initial oil change done. Now, I've read stories and Reddit posts and other forum posts of people who get a lot of fight back from their local dealership, telling them like, hey, you don't need to do that. That's a wasted oil change. You're wasting money. Don't let them talk you out of it. To me personally, it sounds kind of crazy for a dealership to try to talk you out of spending money, but apparently they're doing that. So don't let them make you feel stupid. If you want the oil change, which you should, get it. 1,000 miles, 1,000 to 1,500 miles, make sure you get that taken care of. And then after that, after you get, you baby the car for the first 1,000 miles, you get your oil change done, you're a good WRX owner. I don't recommend you hot boy race your car all the time, or every time you get in it. Don't be dumping the clutch and doing launches. These Subaru transmissions don't really like that anyway. But you're free to drive your car at that point as spiritedly as you would like. If you want to launch it or you want to floor it all the time, that's when you're theoretically allowed to, and you're not going to really damage the car unless you do something too stupid. Let's see. I think that's about it as far as breaking your car in. The break-in procedure. Just go over one more time. 1,000 miles. You don't want to go over 4,000 RPM. 4,500 max, right? You don't want to use cruise control on the interstate, and you don't want to stay on the interstate in the same, RPM for too long. You want to vary that RPM, that engine speed, as much as you possibly can, to get everything used to working at and operating at different engine loads and all that sort of stuff. And then make sure you get your oil changed. 1,000 to 1,500 miles after you do your break-in procedure. Get that oil changed, get all that debris out, and you'll be perfectly fine. Guys, I want to thank you for sticking through and watching the whole video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you click the little notification bell so you get to see all of the videos that I'm uploading about this car and about car culture in North Carolina. Again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.